Hi, it's Tarrant.
And Stella from Meeple University on the Dice Tower.
Today we'll be teaching you how to play Blooming Industry, game designed by Zach White and published by Hill Goat Games. We are using a prototype copy of the game, and so the rules and components may not be final.
Now let's get to the table.
Blooming Industry is a tile laying and pick up and deliver game set in the world of tulip farming. Through the game, players will lay tiles in order to make up a network of farms and canals, and will move their boats throughout the canals in order to pick up tulips and aim to deliver them to one of the central markets in order to earn points. Once all the tiles have been placed, or a certain number of tulips have been delivered, the game will end and the player with the most points wins. To set up, first separate all of the market and dock tiles from all of the tiles which don't show those features. Each player will take one dock and any unused will be returned to the box, and you'll use one market at a 2-player game, 2 markets for a 3-player game, and all 4 at any other player count. Lay out these tiles as shown in the rulebook for your player count, paying attention to the space between the tiles, as this will need to accommodate a specific number of other tiles. At 6 players, you'll also need to find 2 random normal tiles showing a T-intersection and a windmill, and include those in the setup. Each player takes the 3 boats and 6 meeples in their colour and places the 3 boats onto the dock space while leaving the 6 meeples off to the side. Lay out all of the scoring tokens, stacking the matching coloured ones in descending order from 5 down to 2. Shuffle all of the ordinary tiles into 1 or more stacks, and then deal each player their starting tiles, which will be 3 face down. A player's starting tiles must include exactly 1 tile showing a windmill and 2 that don't, and so the best way to do this is to deal the tiles one at a time, and if a tile doesn't meet that condition, discard it, shuffle it back to the pack, and continue drawing until the condition is met. Then lay out 3 tiles face up from the draw deck for all players to see. Keep the matching coloured tulips and the lone 5-point white token nearby. Finally, all players flip their starting tiles simultaneously and then race to place those tiles around their dock. This should follow the normal placement rules, but each tile must be orthogonally adjacent to either the dock or another one that was placed. We'll cover the normal placement rules in the next section. Whoever is slowest to finish will be last in turn order, and the player to that player's left will take the first turn. You're now ready to play. A turn in Blooming Industry takes place over 2 main steps. First, you'll deal with the tiles, where you'll either take a tile from the face-up display and add it to the map, or you'll take 2 tiles from the general stockpile, putting them face down to score points. Then you'll take 1 action with your wooden pieces, which can either be to place a meeple onto the board, or to move your boats around the map, possibly picking up and delivering tulips, which is the main way you'll score points. Now, before we go through the specific rules for each of these steps, we need to go through some definitions of what you'll find on the board. The board is made up of tiles, and these can be dock tiles, market tiles, windmill tiles, which show this windmill icon, and field tiles. Each tile, with the exception of the markets, will contain between 2 and 4 tulip fields in the game's 6 different colours. Shapes are also inscribed for accessibility. Any contiguous area of matching coloured tulip fields which spans at least 3 tiles is called a farm. As it's laid out here, there are 3 farms on the board: this purple one, and this green one. A farm may or may not be manned by a farmer, which is a meeple standing upright. A farm may also contain 1 or more cubes representing tulips. Meeples may also be lying down on a windmill tile, and this meeple is activating that windmill. Then each tile will also contain a pattern of canals. Canals can house boats, and boats can either be empty or carrying a tulip. And do once again note that these are prototype components, and in the final version, the tulip will fit comfortably on the back of the boat. So now, understanding all of these definitions, we can go into how to place tiles in Blooming Industry. The first thing you'll do on your turn is your tile laying phase, and you have two main options. You may, if you don't want to add a tile to the map, take 2 tiles from the top of the draw deck and then place them into your personal face-down collection. You'll never use these tiles again. These are worth 1 point for every 5 tiles you collect in this way, and it's a way of scoring points if you don't want to add to the map. Your alternative is to gather one of the 3 face-up tiles and then add it to the map. Before doing this, if all 3 of the tiles on display have the same canal pattern, then you may optionally discard them all and draw 3 new tiles from the top of the pack before you take one. Then you have 2 options, either to seed that tile in which you newly adjoin it to an existing tile on the map, or reseed it, where you place it on top of an existing tile. We'll talk about seeding first. When you seed, you must make at least one connection with the tile that you're putting it adjacent to. And so here there is a connection on the canal and a connection on this orange tulip field, and so that would be valid. Likewise, this placement would be valid because there is a connection on the orange tulip field, even though the canal is now severed. This placement is not valid because there are no connections. It is not valid to sever one of the canal connections around the market, and so this would not be a valid connection, but this would be. And you are never allowed to place a tile adjacent to an opposing player's dock, but anywhere else on the map, as long as it's adjacent to one tile, is valid. After seeding, if you extend the size of an existing farm, which has a farmer on it, then the player who owns that farmer may add 1 tulip to a tile in that farm. However, you may never place a tile so that 2 previously claimed farms of the same colour are joined together. When you reseed, you place the tile you gathered on top of another tile already somewhere on the map. There are more restrictions on doing this than with seeding. You're not allowed to reseed on a market or the dock, or any tile which contains a meeple or a boat. Reseeding where there is a tulip is allowed. You cannot sever any existing canal connections on the map when you reseed, and there must be at least 1 tulip field on the tile underneath which you are matching with a tile on top. So if we were reseeding this tile, you would not be able to reseed it here because there's no matching colour. You could reseed here, and you are allowed to rotate the tile in whichever orientation you wish to reseed it. You do not need to match a tulip field directly underneath one of the ones on top. You just need to match at least 1 colour somewhere on the tile. And you could not reseed here because you would be severing the existing canal connection underneath here. If you reseed on a tile which has a tulip, then the tulip that's there is returned to the main supply. And if by reseeding you sever a farm, such as here where this 5-tile farm becomes 2 2-tile clusters, then any farmer on that farm is returned to its owner. Any tulips that were already there remain. After you're done with the tiles, you'll go to the farm phase, where you'll take an action with your wooden pieces. You have 3 options. Harvest, where you'll place one of your meeples onto a farm to become a farmer. Build, where you use one of your meeples to activate a windmill. Or transport, where you move your boats around the canals. You may only take one of these 3 actions. To take the harvest action, there must be a farm somewhere on the board which is not claimed by another player's farmer. You don't have to have constructed this farm or even be connected to it by your dock. There just has to be a farm somewhere on the map. Then take one of your meeples and place it onto any one tile of that farm, excluding one containing a windmill. And in this case, it doesn't matter if the windmill is on a different coloured field, this tile cannot be used to accommodate a farmer. Place the meeple standing up. In this case, there are 3 farms which are valid to be claimed. This orange one, this red one, and this purple one which only has a windmill operator, not a farmer. To finish the harvest action, you may optionally place 1 tulip onto any one tile of that farm. To take the build action, you simply place one of your meeples lying down onto any one unclaimed windmill tile on the map, excluding one which is orthogonally adjacent to an existing active windmill. In this case we just saw, both of these windmills would not be valid. The benefit of an active windmill is that it helps you when you're taking transport actions, which we'll go through next. Do note that for both the harvest and the build action, if you are out of meeples in your supply, then you can take one of your other meeples from anywhere on the map in order to take the action. To take the transport action, you may move each of your 3 canal boats to an adjacent tile along a canal path. With the exception of your dock tile, there may only ever be 1 boat per tile, even on these tiles showing multiple canals or junctions. And so this red boat would not be able to enter here until yellow had left. An active windmill helps a boat move more efficiently, and when a boat enters a tile containing an active windmill, it must move an additional space to the next tile. This is mandatory. A boat cannot end its turn on a tile with an active windmill, and so this boat moving here has prevented this one from moving through here on its turn. When a boat is on a tile with a tulip, it may pick that tulip up, and this occurs even if it moves through a tile with a tulip, such as a windmill tile, or if a tulip is placed on a tile where a boat already is. Each boat may only hold 1 tulip, and may freely discard the tulip that it's carrying back to the general supply in order to pick up another one, like so. You can pick up tulips from farms owned by your own meeples or other players. One of the primary ways of scoring points in the game is to deliver tulips to the central market, and when you do this, you will collect the tulip and the highest remaining score marker in the matching colour, if indeed there are any, and add them to your collection. Then return the boat to your starting dock. The game ends immediately when 3 of the 6 scoring piles are empty, or when the draw deck is empty. Players then count up their final scores. First, to everything you've collected during the game, add any tulips that you still have remaining on boats, as well as on farms that are owned by your farmers. You will score 1 point for every 2 tulips in this collection. Score points as printed on your circular scoring tiles, and score 1 point for every 5 stockpiled map tiles that you've collected through the game. Finally, evaluate the largest farm, and whoever owns it will gain this token for 5 points. The size of a farm is determined by the number of tiles that it spreads across, so this orange farm is a total size of 4. In this case, both black and yellow are tied for the largest farm with size 4 each. In such a case of a tie, you'll look at each player's second largest farm. So here, yellow has a size 4 red versus a size 3 green, and therefore yellow would win the points. If the second largest farm were also tied, then you would not continue checking the third. No player would gain these points. The player with the highest score wins. In the event of a tie, whoever has the most tulips wins, and if still tied, victory is shared.
And that's how to play Blooming Industry. We hope you enjoyed this video.
When we film this video, Blooming Industry is going to Kickstarter, so we will put the link in the description below when it is live, so you can check it out. If you find this video useful, please help us by hitting that like button please, and subscribe to the Dice Tower if you haven't already done so.
And if you have any questions, comments or feedback, please leave them in the comment section below.
See you next time!